fishbowl with some questions. Continue to write your questions. When we get back to that section, you can ask us anything. Moving over now to Lady Sue.
Hi, everybody. Let me just start off by saying I'm sure Glenn might be a rose, but I am not a thorn. We don't know what Mr. Radcliffe talk about. The rose in between the thorns. I don't know. I'm not a thorn. But anyway, good evening, everybody. My name is Suzanne Beadle, and I've been participating in one way or another with this competition for over 20 years as well, both as adjudicator, as competitor, in terms of as a teacher, and as a member of staff of the commission. So I'm uniquely placed to understand your angst and your challenges. And as my colleagues have said before, ask us all the questions now, whatever, even if you think it's a silly question, ask it same way. And we'll try our best to answer. We're looking forward to an exciting competition this year. It's a new way of doing things and we're all learning together, but we all have the same goal, which is for the children to do well, the participants to do well. So let's get it done. Thank you.
First question from your fishbowl.
Okie dokes. Oh my God.
You
can just take one question, please.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
I'm a flower it out.
My first question. What is the format for the public speaking category? Mr. Radcliffe, you want to just jump in there?
Sure. So as I've mentioned when I was running down the categories, the format is you're not going to be doing the parish or level. So we've eliminated zone. We've also eliminated parish, and you're going straight to national, which is where it's going to be live for all performers. Live in that you will be at a specific location and the judges will be at a separate location watching the performance and marking the performance. So you will be doing a live performance. So now you will be given your thing to your information, your public speaking theme to make your presentation and your time, your 30 minutes to prep, after which we will see you. It don't mean say, all right, me get 30 minutes now, I'm gone, I'm a hide, I'm a go. You are going to still have your camera feed live, and we observe that prep process. And then after your time, we will now take your presentation. So it's going to be live, just like everything at the national, except that you won't be at the parish.
And we're still going to be using the free reading section of it. So that doesn't change. Yes, so you'll get your 30 minutes to prep. When you're ready, you will be given a piece of text to read as normal, and then you'll present what you've prepared. Right, Mr. Radcliffe?
That's correct.
All right, moving on to the next question. Can I superimpose music on top of my performance?
Okay. All right, so remember, this is a speech competition. All right, and if you look at your mark sheet, the mark sheet that we're having now, presentation, performance, energy, style, and visual impact is only 15 marks. All right. If you're using dub, and you have the drum beat or whatever rhythm you have underneath, as long as it's not interfering with the audio, what we are judging. Remember, we're judging articulation in all the rubric that you all are used to. As long as it's not interfering, I would say we can go with it. What do you say? Yes, sorry, Glenn, I agree. But just be careful that the music and all the trappings don't become more important than the speaking. Yeah, I've seen presentations where the first minute is just music. They're making this grand entrance to music and all of that. And all that is nice and beautiful and wonderful. but it's a speech competition, so it cannot take away from the speaking or become more important than the speaking.
I'd like to focus on the use of the word superimpose. That gives an impression that the performance has been done and you're not going to add something to it after. I'd say no.
But isn't there?
All right. You can, just as in a performance as we had in the past where a drummer is there, the music that you're going to be using should be there at the same time as the performance is being done.
Right.
Right.
So the superimpose
I don't know if
would
that's the word.
connotate that you're going to put something on
add.
after.
Right. If that's what
And
they
no.
mean.
Let me just add to that. Mr. Radcliffe, please correct me if I'm wrong. You're not allowed to edit in that way.
That's correct.
The performance is supposed to be one live shot. You're not allowed to add anything. You can edit in terms of trimming, maybe trimming the beginning or trimming the end, but editing to enhance and to add and so on is not allowed. So that can't be done anyway, outside of whether it will take away from the performance. As a rule, it cannot be done.
Thank you so very much for that. I was actually going to make mention of that too, that you cannot edit, and superimposing clearly suggest a certain level of editing. So, Next question.
What is meant by enunciation? Teacher Susan?
No, we were just going to throw to Karen, that's not.
All right. Yeah, throw it over to me. All right, so enunciation, and I'm going to take enunciation, articulation in the same way. It's about producing, speaking so that we can hear you clearly. All right, and take articulation and enunciation has to do with the clarity. So articulation, we need to hear the consonants and the vowel sounds. And enunciation is the ability for us to hear clearly what you are saying.
Yeah.
Yes. So an exercise I like to give. Who I want somebody on it. Tell me somebody who's there. They can't see.
There's a Shanika.
There's somebody there.
Shanika is there. Ask Shanika.
Shanika.
Again, just a gentle reminder, gentle people, that if you have questions, you can raise your hand in the group, in the chat, and we'll get to you. Shanika, we're calling you because it seemed as if you had something.
All right, so for an exercise or a tongue twister, Rickety Kate was coming home late on a rickety horse, rode Rickety Kate. She shied at a shadow, jumped over a gate, a rickety ride for Rickety Kate. So I want to hear Rickety Kate. So that helps in the articulation. And the clarity, Rickety Kate was coming home. So I can tell that you're saying Rickety Kate was coming home late. Does that explain for the person or for the audience? Does that explain to you what I'm talking about? Am I clear enough? I want to get a feedback.
Guys, you are allowed to participate or full participate. So
Yeah, we want to hear.
Alicia Jackson said yes.
Yes? All right, cool.
Can I just add something?
Colin Hill raised his hand. Colin, talk to us.
Yes, I'm in total agreement with that. That enunciation will come out there.
He's in agreement. Clennon says yes as well. Nesbeth said clear as crystal. Susan, you were saying?
Yes, I was going to say that I saw, in another workshop where Miss Lee gave a really great example where someone asked her to clarify the difference between enunciation and pronunciation. And yes, and so what she said was that you might be doing this and pronouncing the words properly, but we cannot hear you because you're not being clear. So it's not just about, the pronunciation is about how the words are said, but you could be pronouncing till thy kingdom come. If we cannot hear you clearly, then you're not articulating well, you're not enunciating well.
Great. What is the question that you have, Tristan Dawkins? Whilst you wait, Gizmo, Grant, talk to us.
Oh, yes, my question goes back to the music part of the speech. Let's say if I'm doing a Jamaican language speech and I chip in a little one line of a tune and go back to the speech, is anything wrong with that?
Yes. When you say, explain what you say when you say, what do you say, screen?
About doing a speech and in chipping a one line.
But he said something about over it. What does that mean?
Clarify, sir. Tell us a little bit more what you mean.
Oh, let's say I'm saying, me a good on the goal, me a good on, and then so that's a part of the speech, and then I just cut off and say, down the gully, me a go, like I just sing that line, and then I go back to the speech, me a good on the gully, me a good on the gully. Is that okay?
He's saying if it is that in his presentation, me a good on the gully, and then him chop a song part of it, me a good on, and then go back to good on the gully, if that is okay. I think he's probably.
I would say that it is. It is. Just don't make the singing of it become the important thing. So if you're going to add a one line or insert a one line, as long as it's done at the same time as the speaking, and it will enhance the character or the setting or the story, then that will be fine, yes. But it doesn't become the important thing because it is a speech competition.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Great. Galaxy Tab, you had a question. Tristan, will there be a meeting when the poems are being done, for instance, when they are showing our videos to be judged? Will it be like the normal competition where other contestants can see our performance? Yes. Not so sure about other people seeing the performance. What will happen, you're clearly looking at your screen right now and you're seeing the three judges. It will be like that, or even more spaced, meaning they are spaced, they are in the same location, because we want to capture their marks at the same time as we would have done at any of the levels. What will happen is we will allow for, like now, a Zoom connection where the participants can observe the judges doing their due diligence. So for example, let's assume that they're marking speech presentation now. You are seeing them marking it for transparency purposes. As it relates to, are we going to see the pieces? No. We may at some point incorporate something of the nature where we'll say all the gold pieces from the parish level, we may do that. But at present, we would only allow for viewing of the judges doing in their process.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Will the performances be live or pre-recorded? For the parish level, it will be pre-recorded where you have to upload, and for the national level, it will be live, still coming to us across, coming across to us on a screen. Any more questions?
I have a question here. I have a few students entered with Jamaican poems. Do they need to enter a standard English as well? Simple answer to that is no. All right, so Mr. Radcliffe would have gone through the various categories that will be up for competition this year. Apart from, I think, class 5 and 6, where under normal circumstances, you'd be required to do 2 contrasting pieces or 3 contrasting pieces.
But still Jamaican language.
Yeah, you still remain in the category. So if you're doing Jamaican language poems, prose or poem, you stick to that category. You're only required to enter that section. I must point out though that one participant can enter Jamaican language poem, you can enter Jamaican language prose, you can then enter English language poem, English language prose. It's
And
up
that
to
will be
you.
4 different
And that will be
entries.
4 different entries,
Right.
right?
Let me just say, I think the confusion usually comes with the ensemble, speaking ensemble, where you're required to do 1 of each. But because it's now only solos, that is no longer relevant. So if you're doing a standard English piece, even if you're class 5 or 6 and you're required to do 2 items, it's 2 standard English poems or 2 standard English prose. Right? And so you can enter, as Mr. Campbell said, as a Jamaican language poem, a Jamaican language prose, a standard English poem, a standard English prose, a mixed standard and dialect poem, a mixed standard and dialect prose, a dub, a storytelling, a public speaking. You one of 9 entry and just win everything.
Yes, I get 9 gold medals.
Yes.
All right, but as is the case with track and field, where we don't want burnout of students or participants, and especially the time that we have to
Prepare.
have the competition this year, I would suggest that
You don't deny.
identify your strengths, teachers, participants, and limit it to where you can do 2 or 3 at a good, rather than give it 9 and you give it 9 average pieces. Eh? My opinion on that.
Thank you. Tristan, you had your hand up. Talk to us.
Yes, sir. Firstly, good afternoon to our judges and everyone else. I'm asking on my past question. When I said that if it would be live, like for instance, on this year's sorry, I stutter, so it might take a long while for.
Joe Biden, the president of the United States, stutters too.
Okay. This year, Jamaica Day, when I was performing, they showed like our poems to our other schoolmates. So I'm asking for this prestigious competition. Will it be like that? Like we are here and our judges are actually judging our videos while they are doing it. The others, like for instance, like me and the others of my class 3, will we be seeing like my video, or it will just be uploaded and then now the judges will see it and send feedback?
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to say no. Should you make it to the national, very likely what we will then do is create a nice package video to say, here are the bronze pieces, here are the silver pieces, here are the gold pieces, and here are the guys getting their medals. And then you may have access to look at all the gold pieces. But at present, for the parish finals, we do not, and we will not be streaming those entries. So you will not be seeing that. That's the unfortunate aspect of it.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Sir Tristan. Charnette Jones.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you add, I think I came in a bit late. I didn't know if you say this already. Can you add the recorded music to the video?
That was dealt with, and they're saying, the judges are saying, as well as we here at JCDC are saying that, yes, the music could complement but not overpower your presentation, because at the end of it, it is still a speech presentation, and therefore don't get caught up with the sound, with the except, for example, you're doing a dub poem, just like how you would have both complementing. Just want to say to everyone here, please do the registration form. I know you would have seen the evaluation form, but I have just put in the chat the registration form, so please do put it there so that we can get in touch with you. Any more questions in the chat? Please put your hand up. For class 5, are we still required to do 2 selections of each speech entries?
Okay, first of all, it's not two selections for each speech entry. That's not true. You are required to do 2 items if you're doing Jamaican poetry, Jamaican prose, standard English poetry, or standard English prose. For those 4 categories, yes, you're still required to do 2 items for each entry. For mixed standard and dialect, for dub poetry, for storytelling, you only required to do 1.
Thank you for that clarity, Ms.
Most of the rules have not changed as it relates to handling the solos.
Right.
What has changed mainly is that the competition is now a solo competition. So you can take your handbook and just kind of ignore all the group information, and whatever is there for the solo pieces, for the most part, the rules remain the same.
Thank you so much, Ms. Beadle. Ms. Cheryl Dwyer Parks, or Mrs. Dwyer Parks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radcliffe. It's Dyer. Yes, it's okay. Now, I have 2 questions in point. The first question, I just had a brilliant idea. Can I enter persons, well, for the solo pieces, does it have to be from a school, or can I supersede that, maybe the rule, and actually have somebody from church, which is not under my jurisdiction then? So I'm a teacher of a primary school, in other words. Can I actually enter someone who is not from the primary school? That's the first question. All right. My second question, what's my second question again? Oh, Jesus. My second question. I understand the solo pieces. I think I understand the solo pieces, but can I have a duet or a group, or a group in one entry? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, or is it just completely solos, no group at all? I was trying to get clarification on that one.
Thank you. I mean, I love to ask, but I'll also throw to the judges. I think the second question is about experimental piece, and is that a category where she can have a duet? But
Okay.
do it. Now you alone, Miss Parks. You are in the church alone.
Okay.
First question you asked, though, if you can enter outside of your school community, yes. We welcome that. Send on the pastor and everybody else, but them have to come one by one. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Burnett, you have your hand up. Oh, there's a question in the chat. Let me go. If a selection is selected to advance to the national level, will the performer be allowed to video the performance for the national finals? Want to answer that now?
It's not being.
It's gonna be live.
Okay, so for the nationals, you're not going to be uploading a video.
Yeah.
You will be from your location performing live to us, who will be in a different location. So very much the same way that you are where you are now speaking to us, you will be performing live from your location. So it's not a second video to be uploaded or the same video re-uploaded. It's not a pre-recorded performance for the nationals.
Yeah, if I got the information right, the JCDC will be working on
A common space.
Yeah, a space that will be
The
known
perform.
to everyone,
Right.
and everyone who
So
reaches a national will be required to go to that space, whether it be a parish office, a community center, wherever it is.
Right.
In each parish, each location, the JCDC will identify that here, let's say for Kingston argument's sake, your venue is Ranny Williams. So
Right.
everyone will come to Ranny Williams on the day and time assigned to you, and you will do your performance live in front of a video camera, and we will be watching it
From somewhere
remotely
else.
from
Right.
somewhere else. Okay.
Thank you. Absolutely. The next question is, for dub poetry, can I dub the poem without a drum?
Yes. Yes.
Do it, man. Versatile. Nina don't know. We are good.
I like to
Jump in.
Go, Sergi.
Talk about the dub.
we
Talk
all-
about the dub.
We all have very special place in our hearts for dub
Yes.
and the use of the genre, but things sometimes go off. And so some of the things to pay attention to. Remember, it's speech. So whatever accompaniment, whatever rhythm you're using, don't let it overshadow or overpower your vocal presentation. So some people, a simple thing like this, you don't need a drum, right? But I ask now, at the same time, do not use your foot. Because when you're on a wooden stage, you do the dub. First of all, the energy you do for do that
It's taken away
is
from.
taken away from your vocals. All right? And not only that, sometimes it can throw off what you want to say because you're so concentrated on getting the rhythm with your foot that you forget say your track, right? So you have to be very mindful about the dub and what you use as your rhythm.
Yeah.
Other thing, sometimes the hands. Now,
Go there.
it's a thing that I've
Go
seen
there.
over the years.
Go there.
And I know teachers, I know sometimes students, this is how you know, keep yourself in. But
Keep the rhythm.
sometimes you have to be careful because when you start getting like this, and then we can't really sing it because you're so involved with getting the hands on it.
Just not do it. Not do it. Not do it. Just not do
Don't.
it. Don't do it.
Right? If you even just your knee, right, get used to it. And we ride with the mommy keep the voice in a certain way because body I go so I mean now stop do it and I saw me stay and I saw me go on and me now stop because the rhythm sweet and yeah. Right, you can keep rhythm in all different kind of ways.
Yeah.
You don't have to be audible,
Yes.
so to speak. All right.
Let me just add two things as it relates to dub poetry. The first thing, and this is specific to the question you asked, if the drummer is not a drummer, do it without the drummer. Because a bad drummer, when you know what they do, can mash up your dub. Listen, it's better. There's no rule that says you have to have a drum. So it's best for you to not have a drum than to have a bad drummer. The other thing is that there isn't only one dub poetry rhythm. This is not the universal dub poetry rhythm. Experiment and find interesting ways. I've seen people do dub poetry with music and no drumming.
Yes.
Do you remember Marsha's brother, and he did Silent Tears.
Silent
So a
Tears.
keyboard.
Yes.
And it was a dub poetry.
Yes.
So be creative, but at the same time, if the person cannot play the keyboard, don't use them. If they cannot drum, don't use them. It won't take away from the performance to not have a drum, but it can take away from it if you have a bad drummer.
Remember the earlier poets? They didn't use a drum. Muta.
And Yassos.
Muta, Yassos.
Oko.
Muta, Yassos.
Oko.
Malachi.
Michael Smith and
all of those guys, they didn't use the drum. I find that as through the years, we find people just get lazy and forget that it is speech. So when we come to the competition, all we're hearing is the drum beat and we're not here. And then people complain that they don't get a gold medal. You have to remember, people, that it's speech.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to hear the speech. We want to hear the rhythm in the speech and not depend on the drum for the speech. You see me?
That's so nice, see? No, but it's true. And I think as they're talking about rhythm and speech, that speaks to pacing, you know, rhythm and pacing are great cousins. Alafia wants to ask a question. Yes, Alafia, we're open to your question, so please go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Georgia asked, so is the same poem going to send us straight to finals?
Yes. The rules have not changed. The rules have not changed.
Hello.
Georgia.
If this same poem, I'm gonna carry 10, my girl.
Jaja tell us she have whole heap of poem.
Enter only puppies.
All right. You can't change it. I know something work.
Yeah, the car I turn them on back.
Olympics and say you're 100, I can't be qualified to the final. I say I'm a long jump. Okay, Jaja?
Mr. Radcliffe, I asked
okay.
a question, but you never answered. Mr. Radcliffe?
Lafia, what's your question?
Yes, I prefer to, I would ask it, but you didn't address it. If somebody is not in Jamaica, can they enter the JCDC competition since it's like this now via
I don't think so. Because they have to be on site for the nationals.
They don't have to be, it's virtual.
Yes,
Or-
but
They
have to be on site.
Seal in on that.
Pardon me, Mr. Radcliffe.
Get back that and respond to that question of if the
Mr. Rad-
person is not in Jamaica, can they enter the competition?
Yes, but for the nationals, don't they have to be at a common space
Yes, because we are going to have a specific location for them
for the
to come.
nationals, right?
Right.
They might get
They
a
can
goal.
upload from anywhere in the world, but they'd have to be here for the nationals, I would think.
Yes.
You can edit the video. It has to be one shot. Oh, sorry. Somebody was answering. I had initially chosen not to enter my students as I was concerned about the quality of the pieces due to their workload this year and less contact time with them. However, I'm rethinking this decision. Could we get a little idea about the amount of time we will get for the extension?
I love it.
I appreciate your question where that is concerned. However, I don't want to give you a time and you hold me to it, and the commission time is in at the official time, sorry. So once that has been made official, you will know.
Mr. Radcliffe, you've announced that there will be an extension?
I said that there may be an extension. We did say the deadline is the 31st, but we may have an extension. But Minase, we will have. Should the performer be in costume for the parish finals? Over to you, judges.
Yes.
Yes.
So what you're doing now is we're not going to be treating the uploads as if it's an audition or a zone finals. So in the past, for the audition, people would come in uniform, people would come in full black, and you kind of take a chance, and then you wait for the parish finals to do everything, because this is where you're going to get your medals, and this is where you're going to decide who is going to the nationals. Well, we've eliminated the audition, so this is no. Even though it's the first judging, it is the parish finals, so it has to be everything. It's not going to be judged, oh, the potential of the piece. Let me just make that very clear. This is the parish finals. So assume that you've already done the audition and you get your comments and everything and you get ready for parish now. This is where you're deciding who goes to the nationals. So everything is required.
And this
complete
is
pieces, completely rehearsed, costumes, complete set, whatever it is that you need to add to your piece that you want to use. Everything must be as you need it, as you intend it to be.
There's a question for you, Sir Glenn. I'm flinging it at you, sir. Can a person be used as a prop?
I knew that question was gonna come.
I have seen it in the past. There has been a certain level of leniency. The person cannot speak.
Mm-hmm.
The person, I would suggest that the person going to walk around and move things.
Mm-mm.
A prop being a stationary piece of furniture, set, whatever, I think would be allowed. I'm not sure that you having someone come and lift you across the stage. Why?
So here's
The year of the soloist.
yes, let me respond to that. Yes.
Yes.
So the person, if there's an additional body on the stage with you, they cannot assist with your performance, be it vocally or otherwise, because it is the year of the solo performance.
Nobody else.
Nobody else should be on the stage with you. You alone, you and God and your performance.
There you go.
Mrs. Dyer Parks, is your hand still up because you're just stretching, or is that a question? Turn it. Pat Headley, talk to me.
Good afternoon. I was very late. Sorry about that. But I want to find out because of the question that the lady asked about, can she enter somebody from a church? Because of the way that the entry forms are set up now, each child or each performer has to be registered. So a teacher doesn't have to register a child. A parent can register a child. Am I right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. And so anybody from a church who wants to enter can just enter. So like another person doesn't have to enter them.
Right.
Every participant need to get his or her own ID, JCDC ID, and that is right up there on the JCD website.
Right.
What is the minimum and maximum time for each performance?
I wanted to ask another question.
Go
an
ahead.
Extension of my question. So in the last meeting though, somebody had asked if they can register for a minor. It still means that the minor's name is going to be a small child. They said a small child. A small child. They said that's for the small ones. But
okay,
and the response was yes. But I'm thinking that you mean that and somebody else can do the registration within the name of the little child and everything.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. When you're on there, I mean, you missed it at the start of it. You ask you, are you the one
performing,
or are you doing it for somebody else? So they did ask that.
Oh, that's there. I did register myself, but I didn't remember that. Thank you.
Okay, is there an age range? Yes, from 6 all the way through to 1,000. A gentle reminder to you all to register. By now you should have done register. Please note that that information is being used to send you an e-copy of your certificate of participation. So make sure you put in your email and contact details, etc., etc.
Damon, may I say something? Let me just say something about the entry process. The only thing that is different is that instead of writing several entries on one form, for each child you need a separate form initially, because, well, you need a separate form in order to generate that ID. The teacher can still enter all the children, you know. You as a teacher can still enter all the children that you're entering. You just need to generate an ID for each child, and then you use that ID if the child is doing a second or a third piece. And in the same way that there was always an allowance for unattached persons to enter, because there is a classics for adults. So don't make it too complicated. All that is happening is each individual is going to be generating an ID, so that when you leave primary school and go to high school, they use the same ID. And when you graduate from high school and you go to college and you're entering for your college, use the same ID. And then when you enter as an individual by yourself, use the same ID. But that doesn't mean that the teacher cannot go ahead and enter all the students, or that anybody has to enter, because I believe the entry form asks you what organization you're with, if any. Right, Mr. Radcliffe? Yes. And it also asks you, are you the person participating or not? So you can still go ahead and do what you would normally do. All they're doing is generating an ID for each individual person.
I saw a question being asked as to the duration of the performance. Again, nothing has changed. Yeah. For most performances, the limit is 3 minutes. For public speaking,
5.
It's 5.
And storytelling,
storytelling
7.
Certain age groups, I think it's 1 to 4. It's 5 minutes.
5 and
6.
7.
It's 7 minutes. So the time hasn't changed. There was also another question.
Let me just
what
say.
happens if we go 3 minutes and 15 seconds? All right, so we're not killing them for 15 seconds, but we'd like to, as much as possible, stay with it, because you can imagine when we sit down and 200 people come, and everybody have an extra 15 seconds on it,
Yeah.
Yes.
it adds up over time. All
Right.
right. So as best as possible that you
Stay.
stay within the
And
recommended time.
if the category that you're entering requires more than one item for the entry, then it's 3 minutes per item. So if you're doing class 5 standard English poem and you have to do 2 standard English poems, that's 3 minutes each. If you're doing sonnet, psalm, and Shakespeare, that's 3 minutes each. So that's 9 minutes in all. Next question, Glenn.
All right, I have another question from the fishbowl. What is the difference between shouting and projection in a virtual space?
In a virtual space.
You want to start, Karen?
No, one.
I'm not sure we even have to clarify with, say, in a virtual space. I think shouting and projecting are two different things.
Mhm.
In my simplest form possible, shouting tends to be somewhat uncontrolled, over the top, we say sometimes. While projecting is making sure I'm throwing my voice and doing it from down here. So projecting is from down here, and shouting tends to be from the throat.
Yes.
All right, so that's where the difference comes in. And in most cases, you tend to hear better when you project rather than when you shout, because the decibel level with shouting starts to distort the sound coming out and distort what the receiver is hearing.
Yeah.
So that would be my layman explanation.
And one little thing to add to that. You can know if you're shouting when you finish your throat dry
Or I hurt you.
or hurting. When you finish the performance, you want some water or you're feeling itching somewhere in here. Then you know that you were just shouting.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this format, just talk naturally. You do a test. Where, okay, so if you imagine that the judges are sitting down there, just talk with the idea of the judges sitting there like you normally do, and then just listen back to it. Simple.
Yeah.
Simple and practical. Because you don't have to say Miss Lou over there, so where you know the judges are sitting right there. So we eliminate that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think things are much easier
virtually
in this format and platform.
Because normally you'd be in the little theater or maybe Come College or Brownstone Community Center, wherever you may be, or the church hall. And so you're 15 rows away from where the judges are seated. And you'd have to make sure you throw your voice that they can hear you. No, you're right here with a camera. So do a test. Do your poem, record it, and listen back to it. If you're not here, maybe do it again and speak a little louder. There's no need to shout, enough time in this setting.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that very often when you hear project, people assume that you mean just do it louder.
Yes.
Right, but you can do a stage whisper and project.
And
And it's not shouting. So it's not just about being loud.
Thank you. There are a couple of questions that's jumping up. Let me just go back to one of them. Can there be 2 dub poetry pieces? I suspect the person is asking if they can enter 2 pieces.
No.
Because they'll be
Competing against themselves.
Right. So the basic rule is you cannot compete against yourself. So you can enter what you want to enter as long as you're not competing against yourself. So you can't do 2 dub poetry. You can't do 2 standard English poems.
Yes.
You cannot compete against yourself. So when we're looking to decide who has the highest score, we can't have your name twice in the same class and category.
I'll give you a very simple scenario. You have qualified for the 100 meters final. You have 8 lanes. You want to 2 lanes. How are you going to do that? Right?
Right.
You're in the finals. You can only be in 1 lane. you can only have one entry.
But you can do a 200 and a 100.
You can do a 200 and a 100, and a long jump, and a high jump,
Yes.
and a pole ball.
Yes.
You can be the all-rounder. A gentle reminder that the form, the link is in there. Please click on it and fill it out. Galaxy 8 tab, you had your hand up. Please, would love to hear from you. We're coming to you, Mr. Tristan. There's another one. Since I can't use my JCDC ID to register a student, what if the student doesn't have a TRN and a picture ID? How would I generate their JCDC ID? For that, the form clearly states that if the person does not have one, that is okay. You don't have to have a TRN. You don't have to have a government ID or something. You can still fill it out. However, when you reach at a certain point, the parish, there will be help at the parish office. And just big up to all the parish people who are online. You can put your names in the chat, so I just load it up, please. They have been very instrumental in this process. There's also another question, but remember that if it is the same school, you can do 2 dub pieces, but different classes age. Yes. But you can compete against yourself. Shernet, your question?
Yes, I try to compress through WhatsApp or another compressing app, and I realize I lost the quality of my video.
That's not false.
That will happen. There's when you're recording, especially on your phone, look in the setting and you will see if it is 1080p or 720. I don't think you go beyond DVD quality. And then I'm recommending that you record in the 720, and then that will give you less to compress. But usually it shouldn't deteriorate too badly for us to look at it. Galaxy tab, come, talk up. So I hope that answers.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Blessings.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Big up.
Yes, yes, I'm Nicholas Anderson from St. Francis Primary and Infant School. Yes, I was wondering if when you are registering the students, should the video be uploaded at the same time? When you
there are 2 portals. There's the Get Your ID portal, and then there is the Upload with Your ID portal. There are some part of the uploading of the speech that will require you to still put in some things. So it might ask you for your name as well as the ID. And it's just a simple matter of repeating those steps, but there are 2 separate portals, 2 separate pages.
Oh, because I was actually looking at the pages where it asks for your IDs and all of that, but I didn't get a chance to go next, right? Because I'm going to allow the parents to do that. You understand? So I want to know if as soon as you
start the process, you should finish it. It's not.
Well, I'm allowing the parents to do that because she has the understanding, because I gave her everything to do. Okay. I'm just currently practicing with the child. But I just want to know if it will actually take you to that section where you upload. So I see next, will it take you to where you need to go?
No.
Eventually?
2 forms. The next on any of the forms are dealing with, for example, if you're doing the ID, it is asking you, are you black, brown, or gorgeous? Next. What is the size of your shoes? And these are just random stupid questions I'm throwing out there. That these are not the forms.
I understand.
You understand, but I want everybody to understand. So once that is the next, you finish, you get to review the information that you put in, then you click OK, you get your ID. You have that ID. If you provide reliable and accurate email, you will also get that sent to your email. Now, when you're uploading the video, there's a slot in there that says, what is your JCDC ID? You put in that information, the piece and upload.
Okay, so that portal, the first registration, that will actually is for your ID, right?
If you don't have one.
Okay, no, because actually we are concentrating much on the video, because I know you can't do anything without having, because you have to upload everything at the same time when you register. That's not what you're saying?
I'm saying there are two portals, you complete both of them and they're separate.
Okay.
So the ID will not take you to the speech, they're separate.
Okay.
But once you have your ID and you click on the speech thing, you continue to the next.
So what if a child don't have an ID, but they have a birth certificate?
Yeah, man, that is also there.
Okay.
That them can take a picture and with the ID, the birth certificate.
All right, thank you very much. I'll see what I can do.
Help yourself, sir, Galaxy Tab. Tristan, you have been very kind. Your question?
Yes, sir. When you said that we can't do 2 dubs or 2 standard English due to the fact that we would be competing against ourselves. Sir, so for instance, sir, somebody plans on doing 4 poems. One dub, 1 standard, and 2 Creole. Can the 2 Creole be done?
Can the 2 Creole be done?
2 Creole be done?
Like 2 different people.
No, even same one.
Oh.
No,
wait.
Yes, 1 poem and 1 prose.
Okay, they're gonna answer it, so let me turn over to them. Sir G, you had your hand up.
Yes, we kind of outlined it before, but we'll go over it again. For classes 1 to 4, standard English can be standard English poem, standard English prose. Jamaican language can be Jamaican language poem, Jamaican language prose. So in answer to your question, you could have 2 Jamaican language pieces, but only one can be a poem and 1 can be a prose. So that's the only way you could have 2. All right, hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, sir. But sir, look at this now. Me, sir, I am 13, sir, and when I was filling out my form, I had to ask my teacher for assistance because I have never filled out my own form for this before. Sir, I'm saying no. I don't really understand what prose is, sir, because I've known that for the past 7 years of doing speech. I know that those are poems, but I don't know which
All right.
prose. I'm asking if you can explain that.
All right, Tristan. So that is a little technicality that you're going to have to sit down with Miss or Sir and work out, because us explaining it to you in this form, you're probably not going to get it full. So I would suggest that you sit with a teacher or an adult. Even if you Google and you see the definition of prose and poem, it might still be a little difficult for you. One simple explanation too.
Oh no, I was just going to say that prose is usually sentences. So an excerpt from a newspaper article would be prose. An excerpt from a story would be prose.
Bible.
Some parts of the Bible would be prose. And a poem has certain elements. So you're looking for the rhythm and the meter and the rhyme pattern and all of that. But it really would be better for you to sit with someone who knows, for them to go through it with you. Mr. Campbell mentioned that going to Google and asking for the definitions might not help you, but a good starting point could be to type in poetry versus prose in Google, and so they can show you the difference. But for your best benefit, you really should sit with your teacher and have them explain the difference to you.
I'd like to add, we get the same question from a lot of teachers. Over the years, a lot of the teachers don't know the difference between poem and prose either. And some of them too ashamed to ask the question. All right, so as a general thing, one rhyme, one no rhyme. This I'm not necessarily talking to Tristan, I'm talking to the big, everybody. One, you can clap out a rhythm. It don't have to rhyme. So basic, the poem rhyme, the prose no rhyme. Piece of newspaper, piece of story. Dialect, once if you can clap out a rhythm, is a poem. If you can't clap out the rhythm, you understand, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, a 1, 2, 3, and if you can't find any rhythmic pattern, it usually tends to be a prose. Yeah?
Yeah, you're correct. There are some persons who were in the chat answering that. A poem is written in verse and sometimes rhyme. And then, of course, somebody as well was mentioning the difference that you just did. So it's helpful. There's a suggestion that JCDC can have a FAQ, frequently asked questions, to help with the categories. Thank you. We will put that there. Just so you know, we're building a performer's toolkit that persons will have access to online to help them to get ready, not just for this competition, I mean this version of the competition, but going forward. We will replay the registration video. We are almost at close, ladies and gentlemen. You would have seen just now that there is a feedback that we would like to hear from you regarding your time here with us and the judges. Was it useful? Have you learned anything? Those kinds of questions. Very simply, it's just about 5 questions and you can knock it off in a simple click, 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 click. We're going back to you, sir, because there's also a question from Galaxy Tab. He has not gone anywhere. So Galaxy. All right, while you come back to Earth, we're gonna go to, yes, Sergi.
Question, what is coloring? And I know even some teachers too have a little difficulty in explaining that to their students. So again, I try to do it as basic as possible. Whenever listen to one person talk or speak, and after a while you tune out because boring, what we call flat, because they're talking and then just on one phone and then just different one rhythm, and after a while you just become a can't bother because it's all the same way and the nugget. Coloring is when you do the opposite of that, where you use your voice, you use the pace, you use the variations in tone and pitch to add variation to what you're doing. So I'll give you a simple example. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. It followed her to school one day, which was against her. All right, that is what we do. That has no coloring, no little nothing to it. The same poem being colored would sound something like, Mary had a little lamb. His fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. He followed her to school one day, which was against the rule, right? So the same poem, the same lines are being said with a little color, a little variation. That's what we're talking about, color, where you make it interesting to your listener. And Karen had a very interesting way of looking at it. And she said, when you can close your eyes and listen to what the person is saying, and it conjures up a picture, image in your mind's eye, the speaker has achieved
Mhm.
what they set out to achieve. Impress upon you, take you to a place where you're actually seeing and hearing and feeling the words
Yeah.
that they are saying. That's color.
Right. If something is well colored, you could actually not speak the language and still get the emotion from it.
Yes.
You can sit and listen to something that you don't understand the language, but because of how it is colored, you know what the feeling is that is being evoked. You know what the emotion of the piece is.
Also, as a people, we speak with a lot of color.
Mhm.
As a people, when we're talking one child, long time, Lord Jesus, the corona, Lord, we love. How we manage during the corona? Lord, me this summer watch TV the whole time. No, Sammy couldn't matter. Me right, I'm called on my friend them, I'm a mother, and somebody dead, and so on and so on. Lord, the ball, and Lord, me do this, and Lord, me do that. I saw it out naturally, you know. That's all we're asking you to do. It is just part of our natural way of being, speaking with color. But from the moment you hear, so you must go and perform, all like that. I don't know why. When everybody starts talking, Lord Corona, and Corona lick me. Oh Corona, oh Corona. COVID-19, I was at home and I just watched TV. We no talk. So what was that child? Glenn, look how women are saying, not talking. Wait, Susan, a year now, we don't see it. I'm sorry, talk naturally. Just go back to that.
Yep.
That's all we're asking. Just go back to that. You can close your eyes. Just close your eyes and hear it. How people talk naturally and use that as the benchmark. And that's it.
All right. Thank you so much. We also have some videos that we're going to show and ask the judges their opinion. Please note that these are from 2019 entries, national performances, and that was then. This is now. It's not, we just want to hear what the judges' thoughts are. So please, a gentle reminder that there's a form for you to fill out. Do fill it out.
Are we going to be able to hear it? It's a question.
Black is Beauty by Vijay Green. Our kinks and our complexions, we cannot conceal. The battles that were fought, all our struggles are real. Manufactured in Zimbabwe. Out our duties to keep alive our ancestral brand. Who am I? I'm black, pure black, no sugar, no cream, filled with melanin so rich it bursts at the seams. You see, when I walk past, the gossip starts. The conversation gets lit. My assets are made of African gold, not silicone or plastic. We are known as women of color and intelligence and strength, none of which is defined by our hair and its length. Like a rainbow of beauty, there are different shades of melanin. Latinas, Asians, Indians, we are all the same. We're all sun-kissed women, and we slay in this game.
Thank you, L'Oreal Lang of the Arden High School.
like big, strong hands, don't they? Having the ability to take hold of anything, to control anything, able to take anything in its grasp. They have the ability to clear all paths, to raise burdens off your backs, to get the job done. They look like big, strong hands, don't they? Or are they really? Why do we call them big and strong when they are incapable of holding on to the things we deserve most? Love, laughter, life, joy. Why do we call them big and strong when they seek to hold on to the things we hate most? Pain, turmoil, anguish, tears. Are these the same hands we depend on every time to rescue us, to aid us, to defend us, to dry our tears? When these are the same hands that caused us to shed those tears in the first place? Are these the same hands my ancestors were chained by, abused by, branded on, forced to work with, and scarred for me to have a normal life today? Where were these big, strong hands then? If these are big, strong hands, why do I continue to suffer? If these are the hands you describe so beautifully, why do I feel so little and so weak? Why do these hands continue to uphold this deception, this facade of beauty? Why do these hands continue to deceive us, making us think that all is well when everything worth life living continue to slip through the cracks of our fingers every day? These hands are filled with so many imperfections, and yet we call them big and strong. They look like big, strong hands, don't they? Then if they were, why wasn't I able to carry on?
You come up with your thing.
No.
And you come.
Yes. Those are some of the entries. Those are some of the performances from 2019. As you're looking at the judges, that's what they will look like. Their game face on, marking the presentation. You will not see it, but they will be seeing it. I want to now turn over to the judges to ask what are their thoughts on what they have seen thus far. It should be noted that these performances are not this year's entry.
All right, so let me start with three things that jumped out at me for both pieces. One, you have to pay attention to the endings of your words. The endings of the words are very important. And if we're not hearing the last consonant sound of the word, it makes it difficult for us to hear what you're saying. So pay attention, especially the first of the two pieces. The endings of the words were lost for me for quite a while, for a lot of the presentation. Also, you're gonna have to pay attention to phrasing. This is something that we get a lot of. That kind of sing-songy presentation where the pauses is not in keeping with the meaning of the piece, but it has a kind of singing, a kind of rhythm to it that is not in keeping with natural way of speaking. And again, the third thing I'm going to say is, no, this is a speech competition. You have to know the correct pronunciation of words. Just because a letter is present in a word does not mean that it has to be pronounced, because if that's not the way the word is pronounced, then that's just not the way it is pronounced. So you have to learn how to pronounce the words properly. We get things like aunt and or and woman, and words that we use commonly and we commonly mispronounce them. But for this competition, you have to learn the correct pronunciation.
Just to continue in that same vein, certain things I consider basic.
Yeah.
So THs, your THs, your Hs, it's not have, it's have, house. Simple little things like that. Okay, we may speak like that in everyday discussions among ourselves. When you enter a speech competition, I'm sorry, folks, I am put here to find all of those and mark them if it's not there. So if you're going to say seen and coming, there's a I, there's a G at the end. I'm going to mark for that.
Yeah.
So be mindful of all those little things that in everyday talking, we may slip over it. When you enter speech competition, you have to pay attention to speech. In terms of my evaluation of the pieces that I saw a while ago, the first piece could have been paced up a bit more. And you have to be mindful of that. So you are doing a presentation. And if you drag it like that, after a while, people are going to tune out. And you're going to sometimes change the meaning of the piece, because that's not what the author intended, especially if it's something that's with a little passion or something, and you're there dragging out the man's work or the lady's work. Be mindful of the pace of your presentation. And then, in the same vein, using the word pace, be mindful how you move around the stage. Some things, if you can stand perfectly still and deliver a piece of poetry or prose and hold my attention, you have done well.
And I've seen
You
it
do
done.
not need to move up and down. And especially if moving up and down doesn't add to the piece, to the presentation. If it doesn't require it, it distracts and it takes away from the focus, your own focus as well. So be mindful of those two things. The second piece we looked at, I found this performer projected more, was more passionate. But you have to be careful, as Susan said, to maintain clarity. So you're passionate and you're hurting, you still have to hear what you're saying. We have to hear the words. Underline in bold letters, underline it in red. This is speech. We must hear clearly at all times.
All right. It's really not fair for us to, for me, to be adjudicating these two pieces, because we're looking for very different things. And so the quality of the sound would be much different for this competition than for the
2019, right.
You understand? So it's the most I could, from what I saw, the most I could adjudicate is at the bottom that says expression, mood, feeling, believing, and comprehension. That's the only thing I could fairly adjudicate from the pieces I saw. I could tell that both performers, that they understood what they were talking about. It is clear to me they understood it. And they tried as best to capture the feeling. But from up at the top, the voice production, articulation, none of those things I could adjudicate for. Presentation, energy, style, visual impact, probably. So those two categories at the bottom, I could probably adjudicate those, but for all of it, I couldn't judge them because what I saw just never fit into these things. Which brings me to say to the performers this year, when you're putting up, when you're uploading your video, when you're taping your thing, remember that we are adjudicating for these things. So now you're going to pay attention to the voice production. You're going to pay attention to the speech, the articulation and the enunciation. Remember, it's 35 points for for articulation, enunciation, and pronunciation is 35 points. 10 points for voice production. So that's very important. If you only get the 15 for performance, energy, and style, you have lost. And I can guarantee you that you're not going to get 40 out of 40 for the last one. Okay? So let's call a spade a spade. So I'm not even going to bother. I'm not even going to bother with the arm too, because I couldn't judge that. I can't judge it fairly. But I could tell that you understood the piece. That was very, very clear.
Don't bother with it. Let us continue with some more presentations. What you're looking at or about to see are presentations that are poetry. And so we're jumping in the middle of one of them, and that's deliberate because you will see why at the end. You can also speak on that. All right, so sharing, here we go. Hold on, before me turn up me something, there's a hand that is raised. IT 10 Smart. 10 Smart, go through.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good day.
I have, well, my daughter wants to do dubs, and I've done a lot of them. Can I share one with you guys for you to give me some feedbacks on it?
Could you please repeat the question? We didn't hear it.
Okay. My daughter want to do dubs, dub poetries. I have a few of them. I would like to share one with you guys, if that's okay, for you guys to give me some feedback on it.
We're very grateful for that. However, that would not be quite fit. In that we're not coaching, we're just talking about what we are looking for, what the judges are looking for. So as it relates to your specific poem or dub poetry, I'm afraid we're not able to do that because it would not be fair across all competition. I know that laughter is because of Karen's expression. there was a close-up of your face. All right, I'm now going to share with you the other performances. Thank you. So get here.
show me no feelings. No, I love you. No, I care. No hugs or kisses here or there. The only thing you see fear is to hurt me and pull my hair. You don't come to BTA. And if you come, you say you can't stay. Most of the time you screamed. You didn't want me. Then, why did you have me? Oh, I see. So you can abuse me? No mercy, no sympathy, not even a little pity. I was angry. I was mad. But now, I'm glad. Because I don't have to fear your endless thought. You can no longer tell me this thing goodbye. How stupid! How stupid of me to think you regret it. I take an eye and aim at my neck. Oh, how can I forget? Goodbye says the thing you despise.
Thank you, Chanel.
Christina says.
Life There by an unknown author.
Having some Wi-Fi problem.
Right now, you not drink two bag juice with a cola. But me not forget the first dollar. Oh, Mama's you under the cellar. Me always spot some rusty $1. Man, two cola can't put it. Remember say I meet them gone long, Mary Johnny.
I was about to ask. I was about to like that and ask you. But because there's one.
At the same time, they used to like me, and we always a share a tea. Excuse me, miss, a she, me, a talk. Now come and skin up your face like say, you smell. People like you be make my belly run. You see your face, oh, it tough like piece of rat bone. Sorry, Miss Clark. You want money, you buy one. I just see me shoe in a way brand new. Look at it.
You know that a lot of time people come to nationals and they'll come and grab Shay or they'll come and grab one of my students and say, "Can you drum for the piece for me?" And that's
Oh, yes, yes, it is a national performance. 2019, yes, yes. I am curious if you could speak on the first one where I think the announcer came in of her. Right, right. So that's fine. I want you to speak on that.
pieces if it has gone over time, significantly over time. As it relates to the presentations now, I couldn't hear what they were saying. I couldn't hear the words, and this is a challenge that I want you to pay attention to, because very often we ignore for Jamaican language and dub poetry, we forget that it's a speech competition. When you're doing a piece that is in Jamaican language, be it a poem, prose, or dub, Jamaican language is just that. It's Jamaican language, and we still want to hear the words. So if you're going to say mek, M-E-K, the K at the end of it is part of the word. So we have to hear the words. I couldn't hear. If I was sitting in this room adjudicating that as a pre-recorded piece, I would have said to my fellow judges, I don't know what score to give it because I couldn't hear it. And so I wouldn't be able to score it, which we've had to do. We've had to do where we cannot score something if we can't hear the words. I could not hear the words that were being said in either of the two pieces. The first piece, no, there was some confusion in terms of the rhythm, and it seems to have been a mix of speaking and dubbing. I'm not sure what it was. I don't know. And then the second piece, the drummer. Remember what I said earlier about don't use a drum if the drummer cannot drum. Let me tell you something. I have come to the Little Theatre and I've seen schools where the teachers will come to me and say, can I borrow your drummer at the national finals? Or they'll go to somebody like Shay and say, can you drum for me? And you get 5 minutes to kind of hear the piece and eke out a rhythm, and that's the result that you get. If you don't have a drum, it's okay. But if you have a bad drummer,
I need you to clarify something for me. Before I speak. Yes.
Yes, I'm ready.
Thank you. That was a dub?
No, I believe it was a piece.
Oh.
There was a part of it where she started
so
kind of
musical,
sing.
yeah, like she did like a sing-songing. So it was a piece.
I remember, Karen, I went to adjudicate for an audition, and a young lady came. This is not 2019, so it's not her. A young lady came and was kind of sing-songing a piece under the category of dub poetry.
And it goes somewhere.
No, because it wasn't dub. The fact that she was being rhythmic doesn't make it dub. She was singing.
I also want, sorry, Glenn, don't want to embarrass me. Sorry. No, two things I want to say. Seriously, sometimes after parish and the performers get a gold medal at parish, they don't do any rehearsal.
Or them go fix it up.
Or they go to something else, and then they go to national. And when they go to national and they present something, it makes us look bad. And you're saying, how on earth did Susan, Glenn, and Karen make this pass and come a national? I think they like
So you're saying then that they sometimes what we see a piece at national and we say, oh, it reached this off. You're simply saying that what could account for that is that after it had won gold at the parish, the performer did, or the team did not do work on it. Did not.
The other thing I want to say is, do not allow the drama to overshadow the speech. And that was the case in both of those performances. All I saw was and acting out, one way for acting.
Yeah, what happens sometimes too, I mean, it's youthful exuberance, but teachers beg of you, you have to help guide and hold them. So they get a goal and the whole of the school rail up when they perform, And so they come on national now.
Come show off now.
They go show no. Yeah. And so the controlled, good presentation that we saw at Parish and gave the goal. Now become so yes, because they've been sometime and then they on TV. Don't do that. You've gotten a goal, and we usually still give comments, maintain clarity or good energy. If you tell you good energy,
leave it there, so
you don't need to give it no more energy. We say you're there national now, you're there on TV. Everybody in Jamaica will see you. No, folks. We are here to guide you. And sometimes we must listen to Sir or Miss, because they are out there, and more cases than none, they are looking at it from an honest place. All right? So, sometimes you think, yo, you're going, putting on my youth, you're not over, you're going out, just going out. No, not going out, no more than you need to, because we're giving you a goal and you're going on to nationals. Maintain. Just like an athlete, I keep going back to track and field. Shelly Ann do 11 flat, and she do 10.78, and she makes sure she try to maintain that or get a little. No, she not try to go for the 6 point something or 8 point something. No, don't overdo it. Sometimes that's what throws it off and spoils a good thing.
Thank you. There is actually someone in our chat, Huey, who said, this is so true. One of my students got a gold at parish finals. It was excellent. The performance at the national was nothing like it because we fixed it and spoiled it. At the end of the day, I saw where we gave away a perfect opportunity for a national goal. So that is indeed supporting your analogy of athleticism, as well as what you had mentioned, Lady Karen, about doing the work and not
improving on it.
Improving till it's spoiled. You mix up the thing there. Please remember to fill out the registration and the evaluation forms. Also, we're winding down. We're within the last 5 minutes. Are there any questions that you have? Raise your hands. Tristan.
And I just want to say something.
Yes.
Mr. Apple. Coaches, simple and practical exercise. When the performer, remember, the performance, energy, visual impact, and style is just only out of 15. All right? Simple exercise. When the performer, allow them to perform the piece and close your eyes. If you can hear, remember the speech is about hearing. If you can hear what the performer is saying and the performer is capturing the images in the piece for you with your eyes closed, then they're doing the work. It might sound simple, but it's a very good exercise.
Yeah.
A lot of times you will see us as adjudicators, and I do it a lot. I close my eyes, especially if the child is pretty, or the children are pretty.
Cute, yeah.
I'm cute. I close my eyes, or I turn this way to make sure that I am not seeing it. I am hearing it. So the same thing I do, I'm suggesting that you do as well, because that will help you.
Yeah.
Okay?
And I also wanted to jump on Glenn's analogy. You know, you are a track and field athlete and you're running a 400 meter. And your coach says to you, run your race.
Yes.
Don't get caught up in the hype of you staying on one side of you and Justin on the other side of you. And you try to run their race. Run your race. I know that they don't run 400 meters. Glenn, you don't need to tell me. I know, okay? Run your race. Don't get caught up in the hype of the crowd. Focus on your performance and do what you're supposed to do. If you're supposed to do something that is comedic, and the line is a comedic line, you don't have to make it comedy. The line is already funny. Do what you're trained to do what you're directed to do. Run your race, stay in your lane. Don't get caught up in the hype of the people around you who are performing, and don't get caught up in the hype of the crowd. And a lot of times our young people forget themselves when they go on stage.
Thank you.
You have to teach them how to stay in them lane and run them race.
Thank you. I'm hoping that we here on Zoom are listening to some key things. When the world come back to normal, we at JCDC will not go back to business as usual. The technology is here and it will stay, and it will be incorporated in all of our competitions going forward. The judges are not pulled from some weird walk of life. They are pulled because they have years of experience. I wasn't joking that they are the J, D, and C in JCDC. They literally are the ones that have the wealth of knowledge. They have seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and are offering wealth of information for you to take into consideration. Once you get your goal at the parish, it don't done.
Are you saying,
especially if you are going on? There's also something I want to ask. How can you get gold at parish but don't reach at national? Anybody want to answer that?
You're asking us, the non-JCDC staff,
Yeah.
to answer the question?
Yeah.
So
at parish and
not
don't reach at nationals.
all right, so over the years, there have been two main ways of deciding who goes to the nationals. I think what obtains now is that the highest gold medal for each class and category for the parish will represent the parish at nationals. What that means very often, which is a bone of contention, is that in a parish such as St. Catherine or Kingston and St. Andrew or St. James, for example, that have many entries, you will find that, let us say class 5 dub, which is a hotly contested category. A school will get, or a parish will have 10 gold medals in that class and category. And all of the gold medals are 96 and above. But only the highest one for that parish, for that class and category will go. So the one that get 98.5 is going to nationals. The one that get 98 and 97 and 96, no. Another parish, which might have a small amount of people, might have one gold medal in that class and category, and that gold medal might be a 91. And so you'll have a 91 at the nationals and 3 that are over 95 that don't make it to the nationals, right? It's just the way it is at the moment. The highest gold medal in your, so you can get, if your school has 10 class 5 standard English pieces and all 10 of them get gold medals, let me also say this, your school might have 10 in your parish, gold medals in that class and category, and another school had 1 entry in that class and category, and they get 0.05 more than you. And they're gonna go to the nationals, and none of your 10 not going to the nationals. That's the way it is right now. We've also had a system where there was a situation where, depending on how many entries you get a certain amount of representation at the nationals. But what it is at the moment, or the last time we had festival, which was in 2019, that's what obtained, which is the highest class in the class and category. I don't know if it's going to change for this year.
Thank you for that thorough information, and I deliberately fling it out there. See there, we're not finished. Go, Mr. Rose. I mean, Campbell.
There's also a case where item gets 96. A beautiful piece of work. However, because of the rules of the JCDC and the content of the item, whether it be language, whether it be a word, whether it be
the story,
or the story, the piece is not fit for airplay. As judges, we have to mark what we see. So it was a 96. Fantastic, emotional and everything. However, that will not go on national television because
it's not fit for airplay.
It's not fit for airplay. So you got your goal, you got a high score, but you didn't meet the requirements to be able to now represent your parish. at
Talk about
a national level.
age appropriateness.
I should also mention in the same vein a certain thing we call age appropriateness. Now, I know, especially in the dub category and certain, well, kind of skipping off the drama and thing too, where people are acting out situations that they see or hear around them on a daily basis. Unfortunately, sometimes in the news regularly. However, again, because of the age appropriateness or the content or subject matter being performed on, it cannot be carried to a national television audience. So sexual harassment, child abuse, and we see, you know, it pains my heart when I see a 9, 10-year-old or younger be emotional about, hey, dirty man, don't touch me, I'm not taking no sweet. Those things, it hurt my heart. But the truth of the matter is, the students probably seeing and hearing around them. But teachers, I'm asking you to help us. Be responsible. Certain things will not be able to be put on television. So they will not be able to go on to national. So the little child might be convincing and we feel the pain and goosebumps take with, but we cannot send it on. We have to keep the competition in a certain
Family
level.
friendly.
Yeah, wholesome
family friendly.
Entertainment presentations.
Because also remember, we're parents too.
And the JCDC is an agency of the government of Jamaica. So you're representing the government of Jamaica.
Thank you. I literally was going to echo some of those things that you mentioned about not being for airplay, and that we are an agency within the government, and we are governed by the Broadcasting Commission's guidelines.
Right.
And just to Sir Campbell's point, age appropriate is important. I know sometimes you deliberately find a small vessel to deliver a big message and it works, but we also have to help our performers because sometimes they don't know what they must say. And, you know, so we have to protect them emotionally as well, because years later when they find out what them they say, it, you know, it's a different place. But age appropriate, we're a family oriented competition because all that we do caters for, yes, our culture, but when it comes to broadcasting, we have to be governed by the Broadcasting Commission. There's something Pat Headley said, this is the best tip I've heard in this session. Thanks very much. Close your eyes and listen. Big up yourself. I think it was done by, I wasn't trouble anybody. So what is a parish school tie? What if a parish school ties, for example, 99.5 will both go to nationals?
Had both. I think that would be up to the subject specialist. We've had both situations.
Yes.
We've had situations where it was brought back to the judges and we were told we have to break the tie.
Yes.
And we've had situations where two pieces tied and they just could not be broken and they both went to the nationals. So it would depend upon Mr. Radcliffe and Mr. Broadbaugh to make that decision.
And then the beautiful thing about it being digital right now is that, one, we get to look on it. So the person in St. James, we can't always get back to them and whatever. You don't send with these things. If we look and it is 99.5 for both, we look again with the second eye, with a more finer teeth comb and arrive at, as Lady Beadle says, breaking that tie. But if it is that no matter what we do, the two of them are dumpling, the dumpling is rolling in. Because at the end of the day, A dumpling, we say. I mean the best, sorry.
If you have Glenn is usually such a sweetheart. So Glenn is usually very nice and accommodating. There is one Miss Harriet that if Miss Harriet say a 95.258 and she not move. She not move.
That's why we have 3 judges.
That's why you have 3 judges.
There will not be a tie among the judges. All right, so we're really wrapping this time. I mean, but we're very grateful for this session. It has been informative. And unlike any other workshop, we break that fourth wall. This, if no other time, is the time that you are able to ask the judges up front. You can't call them away because they're not biased. You cannot bribe them because they're unbribable. You know what I mean? For real. And you cannot use because we know Glenn from a TV, a Titus that, yeah, we take the same bus coming to Kingston. It's not going to work. So they are really and truly, and to be very honest, I too have been a part of the competition, and I felt them did rough for me. But you know, they have their standards, and they are maintaining the quality of the competition by sticking to their standards. And also, it must be noted that, yeah, Joel, come on, because Joel have something for us.
Oh, wow.
Welcome, Joel, welcome. The judges' comments are final, or the judge's decision is final. Your tips are so enlightening. Thanks so much. These standards can be used for elsewhere to enhance our speeches. Give thanks. Joel, you look like you have something to say. Talk to me. Huh. Joel.
Hey, big up the judges, big up Damian first.
Here.
Big up Beadle, big up Karen, big up Glenn.
Yes.
Yes. But my question, it might answer already, but I was just in from a rehearsal, is are you guys strictly adhering to the time limit? So if my video is, because some of my recordings today were like 3:15, 3:18, are you guys stopping at 3 minutes on the dot?
Him say just competitive. This
Get me a rehearse to win.
Do it, my dad. Do it.
Rehearsing to win. Sorry.
So Joel, aim for 3 minutes.
Yes.
We're not gonna kill you if you go over by a few seconds, but don't be rehearsing to go over by a few seconds. Aim for 3 minutes. You notice you didn't get a range.
Yeah.
It is a 3 minutes presentation. Aim for 3 minutes, but we're not monsters.
Are you sure?
For this panel.
Especially for you.
And so, you know, if it goes over by a few seconds and we see that the performer is wrapping up, then for sure. But listen now, very often this is not even in our hands. The organizers backstage will say, thank you very much if you go beyond a certain time. So just aim for 3 minutes.
That's all right. It should be noted that, yes, the judges are the ones who are sieving through to find the best. However, the specialist in the background will come and nudge to say, hey, this is going on too long. Based on what we know, the time, what's going on here, don't work. So they are still being guided by the specialist in the background. Sorry, did you speak about the duration for each speech, especially? Oh, Joel, just deal with that. Thank you for these tips. They are helpful, and can't wait for the judges to view all the pieces of the talented Jamaican children and encouraging adults. Big up yourself, Tristan Dawkins. I just want to big up all the parish offices and their personnel who work very well to make sure that the competition and the competitors are treated well. And in this dispensation of the competition, we're very grateful for that. Thank you so much to the parish and region and all these people. Yeah, there's a hand.
Under 3 minutes, is that hand?
Yeah, that's That's a different hand. But what if it's under 3 minutes?
I'd like to jump in there quickly. Okay, so under 3 minutes, 2 minutes and mash, okay. But if you bring a 1 minute piece
Not
to
2
the
minutes and
competition,
mash.
then
2.5 minutes and mash.
it's incomplete. It doesn't fully suffice as an entry.
Yes, and remember that the rule does not say maximum 3 minutes. It says 3 minutes. It doesn't say, so in the same way that if it goes over by a little bit, it won't be harsh. If it's under by a little bit, it won't be harsh, but you can't bring a 1 minute piece. It doesn't say maximum 3 minutes. It says 3 minutes. Yes.
4 minutes will be penalized. Yes. We're not looking at that. Michelle, you had your hand up. Talk to us, Ms. Powell.
Good evening. I asked the question in the chat, but apparently you didn't see it. Could you ask the judges to demonstrate the hand moves? What is acceptable? What is overdoing it?
What is what?
What is a what?
You want the use
Yes,
of
the hand gestures.
Gestures.
Oh,
yes. As Ms. Beal said earlier, and I kind of mentioned it too, using your hands to express yourself is how we speak as Jamaicans. But at the same time, it's not supposed to be sign language. So if every single word I say has a gesture with it, that's too much.
And you don't have to use your hands to explain the words.
Yes. Remember, it's speech. So I'm being emotional and I say, I feel, or keep it gentle, keep it to minimum. As you say, speech.
Yeah.
This is speech.
Yes.
Try and impress us with the vocals.
Close your eyes.
You know,
listen to it.
The first
Thank you so much. Thank you.
First time ever that I think JCDC had a piece at Parish, or at the time we had regionals, that got 100%, was a young man standing in the middle of the stage shackled. He did not move at all. No hand movement, no foot, no, him one in the middle of the stage for one block. And he got 100%. You don't need it. And if it doesn't enhance or lend it, add to the piece, just don't. When in doubt, don't.
Leave it out. Less is more.
Less is more. Thank you so very much to our judges. You're amazing. And this session has been very thorough. And we could go on and maybe we'll follow up, but we want to hear from you. So please to respond to the survey in there. Damian Herridge says, very good workshop. Good luck to all the participants. Excellent panel of adjudicators. Big up Mr. Radcliffe. I wonder who that guy is. Big up Sir Damian. Another interesting workshop. Thank you so very much. You have been amazing. Thank you, Lady Beadle. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Thank you, Miss Harriet Wilson. We are very happy for this. I personally benefited from it and I can't enter the competition. So I hope you too benefited from it. And stay safe, get those entries out. Look, May 31st is like tomorrow. So make sure, you sort out the thing, upload the thing so that we can have an amazing mellow grand gala and parish and national finals. Thank you so very much. Yes, the deadline is May 31st. Thank you. Walk good, as Miss Lou say, and make good duppy follow you. Blessings, everyone. Good evening. Stay safe.